All right, I got my bag again. Here we go. We're going to see if we can't pull out some recovery agencies. Recovery agencies are about trying to put an end to the Great Depression. All right, so here we go. We're going to pull in, and I have a W. All right, reaching in. I have a P and another A. There we go. Glad there's a lot of A's. All right, WPA. What can I make WPA stand for? Ooh, Works Projects Administration. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to take, and the government is going to do a bunch of infrastructure workers. We need a bridge here. No problem. We'll get a Works Projects Administration to do it. And when that doesn't play out, we're just going to take the same letters, put them in a different order. We're call it the Public Works Administration. If you've ever been to Lamesa, Texas, and if you're watching this video, there's a real possibility that you live in Lamesa. The roads, those cobblestone roads that are downtown and the bridge over by Forest Park were all built as Works Projects Administration. There is a mural, big mural, really nice mural, some cowboys and doing some stuff and things like this, and that was a Works Projects Administration. The other one's a Public Works Administration. And then if you ever go to Big Spring, there's a state park there that was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, which is another recovery agency. Okay, what in the world is going on with all these things? Well, relief agencies are all about putting money in your pocket right now. All right, they're there to fill your immediate needs. Recovery agencies like the WPA or the PWA or the CCC or a dozen other agencies, all right, the NRA, National Recovery Act, and some other things like this. They are all about trying to end the Great Depression. All right, and the way they're doing this is by providing employment opportunities to mostly men to try to get them to develop the skills. They would do skills training or just to get a job so they develop and they can stand on their own on 2 feet. The idea being that if the citizens can stand on their own, can support themselves, the Great Depression will come to an end. Okay, and you can argue whether or not this is an effective strategy in a lot of different ways. And historians and economists and armchair people have been doing this for a long time, I'm sure, arguing whether or not the WPA, the PWA, and all these other alphabet agencies worked. And I think that to a point, it kind of doesn't matter. All right. And the reason I say that is because even if they didn't end the Great Depression, most of the state parks and national parks in our country were built by the CCC. So they did change our country. And a lot of bridges and a lot of public water lines and a lot of roads and curbs that are on roads and a lot of things like this were built by the Public Works Administration, the PWA. And a lot of photographs of the Great Depression that are in the public domain. A lot of pictures, a lot of projects were done by the WPA, the Works Projects Administration. And those things changed our country. And they've left a lasting legacy. Just not too long ago, I took my children down to the state park and we played. We drove across a bridge that was built by the WPA, and we played in a park. Then we had lunch in a veranda that was built by the CCC. Then we went and talked to a ranger in a building that was built by the CCC. And so even if those organizations did not end the Great Depression, and they didn't, sadly, they did change what America looks like, and they changed the way America does things. I think probably the biggest legacy of the Great Depression is not in bridges or parks or in agencies with alphabets that you could draw out of a bag. Right. I think it's that the United States government is for the first time going to be very interested in, they're going to be taking more responsibility for the lives of individual Americans. And this is a radical change. Prior to that, even if the only people that the government ever gave money to were soldiers. well, you're working for the government. That kind of makes sense. All right. But for other organizations, this idea of employing people was really, really far out. And a lot of people weren't comfortable with it. And there was a lot of blowback against it. The WPA is going to be declared unconstitutional. The NRA, which is the National Recovery Act, is going to be declared unconstitutional. Um, but you know, ultimately, by the way, the Great Depression will end in a giant government employment program called World War II. So, while these other ones did not end the Great Depression, they did work a long ways towards ending some of the individual suffering of the Great Depression. Or in the case of people like Dorothea Lange, the photographer, it goes a long ways towards documenting the suffering of the Great Depression. And so these reform, or these recovery agencies are going to play an important role. Which ones are still with us today? None really. Um, they're all gone. But then again, so is the Great Depression. So maybe that's not such a bad thing that these agencies are gone.